Hello everyone, welcome back on another videos on Java programming series, and in this video you will be learning how to create a project using IntelliJ and how to execute both on IDE and on your computer without using IDE. This is very fundamental but important before you move to another topic. So let's go ahead and see how we can create a project and how do we execute programs on computer using command line tool and also using IntelliJ. So first of all, just open your IDE, and if it is your first time, you will have no projects here. But I'm using it for some time. That's why I have a lot of projects here. And just head over and click to this new project. And so this is the main window where you will create your project. For example, you can write your name of the project whatever you want. So for example, hello world. For example, today we will be learning hello world. So I'm going to be creating hello world, or you can call create a separate project. Let's say YouTube and then series. I'll be creating this name. You can put whatever you want and just give it the location where you want this project to reside. I have chosen this location, Java series, YT guide to code. And here, build systems. Don't worry about these two. Just select on IntelliJ. That means the IntelliJ will be handling everything required for build. And you will understand these things later when we, go to build tools and how does build works, etc. So after that, here in the JDK section, you can see like a lot of options depending on how many you have downloaded and how many is suggested by IntelliJ. You can download here, but we have downloaded 25 if you have followed me in the last video. So if you don't know how to install Java 25 yet, and that's what my first video that I have shown how to install, download and install Java 25. So I'll be going with Java 25 because this is the latest stable version at this time. And here it says aid sample code. That means the IDE will generate some basic code for you, but you will be learning how to write that. So you can just uncheck this, and if you expand this advanced setting, well, you don't need to worry about these things. Just make it default. You don't need to touch and hit create. And if you expand it, this is the project. So this is the project that we'll be working on. So when you expand here, this idea, this is something that IDE, because this is IntelliJ IDEA, it creates .idea folder, and here it will, just do some workspace related um, stuff, and we are never going to touch on these things. And then git ignore, this was also generated by it. We will cover this thing when we study about git. And then external libraries, here we have nothing other than Java because we chose Java 25. That means external libraries, that means these jar files will be here. And don't worry about jar files as well. So this, we were not going to touch this again. And this is the src folder, well, where we are going to write our programs. So for example, in Java, when you want to write something, you always need to create a file or class. For example, I'm going to be creating a Java class. Don't worry what is class. Even to run a minimal program, we need a class in Java. And then for this Java, I'm going to name hello world. Look at the naming convention that I have followed. So this is the naming convention that Java generally follows. I mean Java community. So you just write H capital and then the world W capital, right? That means each word starts with a capital letter. And I think it's Pascal notation. This is called Pascal notation. I'm not sure. When you start with, let's say, small and then subsequent capital, this is called camel case. But for naming classes, always follow this notation. The each letter of the each word is going to be capital, and you don't need to write .java here because IntelliJ automatically creates. And if you enter, because now it is selected as a class, you can enter and boom. So we have now created a class, and this is the class. So for now, just ignore about the class, but whatever we are going to write inside of this class will be our code. And if you want to run something, you need to have a main method. Main method in Java is an entry point to your program. No matter how large your application is, the execution always going to be started at this position. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna write main method. So in order to write main method, you will be writing public static void main, and this is our main method, and it accepts certain arguments, string and then array, and many people call it args by convention. It doesn't have to be args, it can be a, b, or c, or whatever, but as a convention we always write args. And this is pretty much like a standard convention and syntax you can assume, right? You always need to write this. Apart from this name, this has to be exactly same. When you understand about method and function, you will understand these things. For now, don't worry, you just need to write this. And the one important thing is, whenever you write this hello world.java, when you create a class, it has to be the same name. If I gave another name, the compiler will yell at you. Look, it says hello world 1 is public, should be declared in final name hello world 1.java, because the file name is hello world and this class is hello world 1 and this is public. This is not acceptable. Either you can omit this public and it will work, because now this is not public. In a file, when there is a class public, the file name should be the same as this public class. If you omit this public, it works, but as a convention we always write public for a class. And then I remove that. Now it's perfectly fine. And whenever I want to print something on console, console means that, the black terminal, I have to write system. Look, this S is capital. If I control and click, look here, so it's a class, and it also the class given by Java itself. And then it says the system, but as capital. That's the convention we are also following here. All right, system, and then dot out. I want output dot print or print ln. So print, for example, let's go ahead with print. And inside of, if you want to print something like one, it's fine that you can do this. And all right, let's print one. And if you want to run your Java program, you can do both right click and run hello world.main, or just click on this triangle icon, the green triangle, and boom, it printed one. So you printed your first Java program. And the print statement is different from print ln. If I just duplicate this line, if you want to duplicate this line, just hit Control D or Command D, depending on the operating system. Control D. And if I do, now let me print these two. For example, if I print 1 and 2, look, so 1 and 2, they are printed on the same line. So that's what exactly print does. If you don't write ln at the end, it will just start printing on where it printed last time. So but now if I print it, so one prints and then it goes to the next line. That is what ln does. It takes the cursor to the next line, and before executing this line, it is going to be executed on this the two, right? And so that's how we printed some integer value, or you can say number. But if you want to print something like let's say string or message, for example, hello world, my name is John, for example, system.out.println, and you have to wrap it inside a double quote. This is how we represent a string, or you can say message or text in Java. You will learn a lot about string and characters and different data types in next video. But in this video, what I'm going to show is how to print messages. For example, I can say hello world, and then if I do this, now I will have one printed on console, and then two, and then hello world. So if I do this, boom, so we have printed these three lines. And you can read whatever you want here. Basically you can just duplicate, and you can say my name is John, the famous guy, and you can remove that and run it. And when you run it, you can also see here the hello world file is selected, and you can click on this. So this is really useful that you are not going to run it manually. So just make sure that the file name is correct here. Sometimes the different file is selected, so if it is current file, it's going to be the same file, this file. All right. And you might be wondering, how did that happen, right? Because we never created any files, or the intermediate files, because these languages are never going to be understood by computer. How did that happen? We didn't do anything. And that's where these IDEs comes into picture. They make a lot of things easier for us because they manage it. For example, we didn't compile, we didn't interpret, everything worked because it was handled under the hood for us. So this is pretty important. Please pay attention to here. If you go here, you will see some folder called out. This is generally referred as output. So that means whatever the compiled file, they will reside here. You can see production YouTube series because it's the YouTube series, and hello world. If you open this, you will see this class file here. And then this is something, oh, it's a decompiled file. All right, and I will show you how to generate that exactly, because when IDE runs, it never runs this file. It will execute this hello world.class file, which will be somewhere else, and it is basically an intermediate file. I'll be actually copying this class, and I'm going here, I'm opening this terminal. If you know git bash, that's fine otherwise. And I'm going to be creating a file called hello.java, and I created hello.java. And if I open this hello.java and just paste it, so now I created a hello.java and pasted it. What I want to show you is how can I do uh, how can I execute that Java that I wrote without using IDE? All right, so then what I need to do is I first need to compile it using a command called javac. That's a notation for Java compiler. And then what's the file name? Because it's hello.java. And if I click it, all right, we got the error. You know it because it should be named as hello world, not hello. So hello world. Now it should work. So If I click error file not found hello.java, all right, we get another error. And all right, I messed up hello world.java. Now if I do ls, for example, you may see hello world.class file. So let me exit here, and if you see here, this hello world.class file is some intermediate file that we cannot uh, read. Let me show you. Aha, so it's not supported. All right, look at this. So this is pretty like unreadable format, because this is something that the computer or the JVM will interpret. What happens in Java is when I do this, now if I do Java and then hello and hello world, and without any extension I run it, it will give me the same output. So the same output. Now that JVM actually executes this dot class file, and this dot class file is something that is independent of operating system. That's why people call generally Java as write once, run anywhere, or platform independent. JVM itself is platform dependent, but this bytecode or the code that you saw, the class file, look at this, that class file is platform independent. And this is pretty much a pretty important concept in Java, because Java is referred to as architecturally neutral language, because you can just execute a class file on one platform and then happily run it on the second platform. For example, you write code and execute Java C on your Windows operating system, and then you run on Linux operating system. It will work perfectly. That's the key concept, and this is often asked in interviews as well. And for example, nowadays, so whatever I did here, you don't even need to do that. You can directly do Java hello world dot Java and it will run, because this Java C stuff has now been combined. But essentially the concept is same. It will create intermediate Java file and then execute it. So, and it's the same, right? You don't need two steps. It is directly executing, but in the past we always needed to do Java C and then execute program. I'm not sure when it was changed, but you can keep these things in mind. Even though like we will be using IDE a lot, this was pretty important to know how Java works and why people call Java like a platform independent language. So you have to keep these things in mind. And if you understand these things, it will be easier for you to understand other concepts in coming days. And so today we saw how to create project, how to run, and how to run on your IDE and on your command line tool or terminal, whatever you call it. And also why we refer Java as platform independent language. So in the next videos, we will be discussing about data type and further concepts, so you will have more idea of how to write more versatile Java programs. So if you have any questions, please comment down. Otherwise, I will see you in the next video. Thank you.